Hey y'all, welcome to Kamira's Kitchen. Merry Christmas, guys. Today I'm going to show you how I made this roast duck with the crispiest potatoes and Brussels sprouts, and I actually ate this for my Christmas dinner. I feel like duck is so good. We should be eating this more than just at the holidays, but y'all, I absolutely love this. Now, this is a 6-pound duck. I am going in with a fork and I am going to sort of press under the skin. I want to make ways for the extra fat to release because y'all know ducks, baby. Ducks be having some fat. Okay. Now, I've also seen people score the top of the duck breast to help release the extra fat. You could do that as well, but today I didn't want the top to sort of have those markings. Now, the trick to do this is to come in at an angle. That way you have a very low chance of actually piercing down to the meat. So I like to go in at an angle with my fork and then just go in. Now you could also use a skewer. You could even use a little paring knife and just make little slits. Now I'm going to generously salt this duck. I'm going to rub it into the skin and the back all over, and I'm going to let this sit at room temperature for about an hour and a half. And yes, it is okay, y'all. Okay, you need to let the duck actually come up to room temperature so that it will roast more evenly. Now, the best thing to do, though, is salt it and then stick it in the fridge overnight. That way the skin will dry out. I just didn't have that amount of time, but if you do, it will make the skin crispier. Now, I am also going to cut off this piece of skin at the front, but I am not going to throw that away. I'm actually going to save that and just let that roast in the bottom of the pan so that I can get the fat from it. Now, it's been an hour and a half and my duck has actually dripped down some water, which is what you want to happen. So I went ahead with the paper towel again and just dried it off and just made sure I got off all of the juices so that it can get as crispy as possible. I am going to keep the spice blend very simple. I have some ginger, a little bit of smoked paprika, a touch of MSG, a little pepper, and a little bit of a all-purpose seasoning. Nothing too crazy here. I am not using oil to put on the spice mixture because this duck gonna let out plenty of fat. Okay, so you don't need no extra. And duck is naturally more flavorful than chicken, so you don't have to use as many different seasonings to get a great flavor. You also want to make sure you get them spices down in the inside, okay? Because you want the juices to come out really tasty because we're going to use those juices to make a nice gravy. Now, let me know in the comments, how many times a year do you tend to eat duck, or have you even tried duck at all? I got this duck from Aldi. I think it was a good duck, but where else can you even buy a duck? Because I actually find that they're pretty hard to find as well. I am now going to go in with some fresh herbs, some rosemary, some thyme, oregano, and a little bit of sage. I have smashed a few cloves of little garlic. You know, I hate chopping up those little garlic cloves, so I just smash them and use them in my poultry. We're also going to put some orange inside of Daffy Duck. Y'all, I feel bad. You know, have you ever seen that show, Mighty Ducks? Y'all, I feel like, I'm doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like Daffy, we just ain't doing something right. But baby, Daffy tastes good. That's all I can tell y'all. See, duck has a flavor that is a little bit more gamier than chicken. It's almost giving me like poultry / a little bit of red meat vibes. Does anyone else feel that way? Because y'all, Daffy Duck be hitting. The only issue that I have with duck, though, is that you actually don't tend to get a lot of meat on it. So if you have more than 3 or 4 people, you definitely need to do 2 ducks. I am going to tuck in the wings and add that little bit of fat, and I'm going to cook this at 375 for 1 hour. While that is cooking, I'm going to prep the potatoes. Potatoes taste amazing in duck fat. It's literally some of the best potatoes of your life. To make cleanup really easy, I am going to actually peel the potatoes over a plastic bag. That way, when I'm done, I can just throw it away. Okay, I actually prep a lot of vegetables like this because it keeps cleanup in the kitchen super easy. I'm then going to put the potatoes in some water while I'm peeling the rest. And then when I'm ready, I am going to cut the potatoes into large pieces. I'm going to cut these ones into 4s. And then if it's a little bit smaller, I will just chop it in half. I don't want them to be too small because these are actually going to roast for quite a while. To give them a head start, I am going to cook the potatoes for about 12 minutes. I like to add a little bit of chicken bouillon and a pinch of salt just to make sure they have a great flavor, because y'all know potatoes will be as bland as all get out. All right. But that duck fat is going to help it a lot. I am going to cook them until they are a little bit less than fork tender. So when I put my fork in there, you should still feel a little bit of resist. They by no means should be as soft as what you would have for mashed potatoes, or really even for potato salad potatoes. They should be undercooked. You want to create a lot of surface area on your potatoes. So I'm going to rough them up in my metal colander. That's going to add some jagged edges. And then I'm also going to go in with a fork and just rough them up a bit. This is going to create more opportunities for crispiness. Next, I'm going to make a quick little sauce that I will put on the duck. And this is just the juice from one mandarin orange and about a tablespoon of honey. I'm also going to add a splash of soy sauce. I don't want this to become too Asian style, but the soy sauce is just going to add a nice flavor. It has been 1 hour. I'm going to take my duck out, and then I am going to pick it up from the rack and place it to the side. I am going to flip it because you want the backside to start getting color as well. Now, I feel like if I were to roast this duck again, I would start the duck out on the backside and then just flip it to the top for the rest of the way. So I would cook it flip down, breast side down for an hour, and then cook it breast side up for the rest of the time. But either way, it still worked out. I'm now going to add potatoes and 1 onion to the hot duck fat, and then I'm going to put this in the oven for 45 more minutes. After 45 minutes, I am going to take off the duck and I'm going to drain some of that fat. There is a lot of fat and juices down here, and I don't want my potatoes swimming in that fat. Plus, the duck is also actually going to release more. Now, by no means can you throw out that fat. Honey, I am going to whoop you with a switch if you throw out that liquid gold. Baby, you need that, okay? I actually save mine for other cooking. I'm going to flip the duck back around, and then I am going to go in and glaze it. I like to add on a honey glaze because it is going to start to give the duck a really good color. It is not going to make the duck super sweet though. I am going to cook this at 375 for about 15 to 20 more minutes. Your cooking time is going to depend on what internal temp you want. Duck can actually be eaten medium well, so I did mine to a temperature of 165. However, you could do yours to a temperature of about 145 if you wanted to. While the duck was resting, I put the potatoes back in the oven at 425 and I let them cook until they got the color that I wanted. I took out any of them that were getting a little bit brown, and we just ate them. All right. Now, while the potatoes were in the oven, I actually took a little bit of the duck fat and I seared some steamed Brussels sprouts. So this is just a bag of microwavable Brussels sprouts. I cooked them in the microwave for about 4 minutes, and then I chopped them in half, and now I'm just searing them off in the pan in the duck fat with a little bit of salt and pepper, and that's it. It only takes you about 4 minutes or so to get a good color on your Brussels sprouts. I saved the fat and the onions from the bottom of the pan, and I'm going to use that to make a rosemary and orange gravy. So into some fat and some of the onions, I am going to add about a tablespoon of flour. I will toast that for about 45 seconds, and then I'm going to go in with the juice of 1 mandarin orange. Now, this is optional, but I think orange and duck just pair together so well that adding that little brightness is really nice. Then I am going to put in my rosemary, and I'm going to add enough chicken stock until I get the gravy consistency that I want. Since I know that I am going to eat this duck with the gravy, I wasn't so concerned about a crispy skin. But if you want me to show you how to do a crispy skin duck, just let me know below in the comments and I will be able to do one for you. I added a touch of white wine to cut some of the fattiness, and I'm also going to add in a pinch of salt. You want to let this simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes until the sauce thickens to your liking. And there you have a beautiful roast duck. Let me know if you guys are going to try this in the comments. I love you guys and Jesus loves you, and I will see you next time in Kamira's Kitchen. Goodbye. God bless.